Good morning. Welcome to another Canvas Live session. Canvas Live sessions are presented by the Canvas community members or instructor employees to help Canvas users improve and enhance their teaching and learning with Canvas. I just wanted to present our session today. Today we will be talking about the don'ts in Canvas, and we have two wonderful community members who are joining us in this presentation, Joe and Anthony. I'll let you introduce yourselves and hand over the presentation to you. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for joining us. So my name is Joe Montori, and I'm an instructional technology coach and a social studies teacher. I've got a 2-year appointment as a tech coach, so I'll be going back to the classroom next year. And even though I've been using Canvas for a couple of years, I still feel kind of like a newbie. And I've learned so much from everybody in this community that I'm really glad to be able to give a little bit back today.
And hi, I'm Anthony Bunak. I'm an informational systems analyst with University of the Pacific. But my main responsibility is that I'm the administrator for the Canvas LMS here. All right, so the first don't is don't try to wing it. So what happens is a lot of faculty decide that they want to go to the LMS, but they try and do too much like a normal class where they don't actually build anything beforehand, or they only build the first week. So instead, what you really should be doing is before your class even starts, you want to try and build out the first couple of weeks so the students can take a look at it and get used to what the course is going to be like as they go forward. It gives familiarity. It gives them a sense of what's going on in the class and where it's going to be headed and what's expected of them as they go through it. So a little bit more detail than just the syllabus would give them.
So this is one that I think actually Stephanie posted this one, and I really liked it. I might have rephrased it, but essentially don't open up opportunities for your students to go looking for things that don't exist. And one of the key elements of that is hiding unused navigation links in the course menu. If you don't use discussions, don't leave that out open as an option. If you're not using chat, take that away. Just leave what's actually essential to using your course. So for a lot of people, that's the home page, maybe modules, maybe discussions, maybe collaborations, whatever that might be for your course. And obviously that varies a lot, so every teacher needs to think it through for themselves. But the point being that you want to make it as simple as possible for students to find what they need and not let them wander off and into dead ends, essentially.
The next don't is don't forget an orientation. This is one of the biggest issues that we have, is that faculty assume that this tech-savvy student that's coming in is going to understand how Canvas works intuitively and be able to just navigate through it. And while that's true to some degree, there's still a lot of Canvas that they're not going to understand right away, or at least a portion of the population isn't going to understand. You don't want to leave them behind, and you don't want to have to end up doing a lot of tech support later on, or I didn't understand how something worked, or I missed this because I didn't see it. So instead, what you want to do is you want to try and give them some sort of orientation at the beginning of the course. Now, that doesn't mean you have to design something for yourself. There's a lot of stuff available out there. I'm sure there's something in the Commons available. If not, at least link them to the guides, link them to whatever sort of help desk or support system you have for the students. Give them something to look through to understand how things work and some place to go when they have a question. So the Canvas guides are great for things like how do I submit an assignment, or how do I post a discussion, or how do I do attachments on a discussion. So you want to provide them some sort of link. So somewhere towards the beginning of your class, you want to have something available to them saying, don't understand Canvas or have a question about Canvas, here's how to get some help. And that'll help your workload as well, because then you're not taking a lot of time out of your day trying to answer questions about how to operate Canvas. You can instead focus on actually getting your course complete.
So this is also another tip that somebody posted. Don't create a mere digital Dropbox. Don't just post a bunch of files or links to other websites in your course. And I found, here at our school, we went from Blackboard to Canvas. And for the first time when we went to Canvas, I got to see a lot of other people's courses. And I found that what a lot of teachers do is just they post a bunch of files up there, and then kids have to kind of figure out what it is that they're opening. Then they have to wait for the download, or they have to go to another website. And you're really doing the kids a disservice by not guiding them more and giving them a heads up that, when you click this, you're going to be downloading something or whatever it may be. So keeping the kids within the Canvas course is really key. If you can post the actual text that you want kids to read right there, I think Anthony actually mentioned this in one of his don'ts as well, then the kids don't have to wait for the download. They're not, squandering their time because you didn't post the text that you actually want them to read within the Canvas page. And speaking of pages, I find Canvas pages are incredibly helpful for doing this kind of thing. You can obviously embed videos, graphic images, charts, etc. right there. And so kids are just doing within your Canvas course rather than going elsewhere and maybe never coming back, which is obviously something you don't want to happen. You want them to stay engaged with your tasks, your assignments, your activities, and working with other people.
So the next don't is don't expect perfect students. A lot of times the faculty will look at a course, they'll see blanks for assignments, they'll see blanks when they're creating something, and they'll want to fill it in. So the first thing is don't really think about whether you want to put available from and until dates on your assignments. And from until date is what you can set to allow a student to start it and when the students can no longer participate in a particular assignment. The problem then is that you're always going to have exceptions. Somebody needs a couple extra days. There's an excuse that's valid or something else that makes it so you have to go back and undo your own work. So really think about the from until dates. Instead, just concentrate on your due dates, and then you can actually use your own judgment on whether somebody should have an extension or not, or whether somebody needs a penalty for turning it in late. The next is don't worry about the blanks in your grade book so much. A lot of faculty get really worried about it. They get a little jittery about it. They go, "Oh my goodness, look how many people are not turning stuff in." That's up to the students, especially at the higher ed level, which we're at, where it's up to the students to actually get stuff turned in. You can go and talk to the students about, "Hey, you haven't turned this in. Would you like to turn it in for a penalty?" But in the end, that's up to the students to do.
Yeah, and this next item, it actually builds on what Anthony was just discussing. Don't lock it all down. And I learned that lesson the hard way. I have to admit, I used Canvas for the first time in my own course this year, and I got really excited about using prerequisites and requirements, and I had everything set up, and it was a face-to-face course. And then I got a student who came into the class late, and they had to immediately jump in where everybody else was and then slowly catch up with the work that she had missed. And so I had to unlock everything. I had to change the available dates, as Anthony just mentioned, but I also had prerequisites that I had to eliminate. And for a face-to-face course, I decided it really wasn't worth it to me to have that level of control. And obviously, that might be different for an online course. If your course is in that format, these are not hard and fast rules, clearly. But for me, I learned, as I said, the hard way that that element of control that I wanted really didn't pay. It made life, as Anthony also mentioned, it made life more difficult for me in the long run. So I think that's kind of a common theme with a lot of teachers that I know, is that they want control, and sometimes it just doesn't pay.
Don't get hung up on the tech. And what I mean is that a lot of times faculty spend a lot of their effort going, why doesn't Canvas operate this the way? Why can't I do this? Other LMSs do this. Other programs do this. And then they go and they try and get they say, oh, well, Canvas needs to be changed, or we need to go get this third-party product, or we need to customize, or we need to change this. And instead, you really should be focusing on what Canvas does do, how to Canvas do, or how can you do what you want to do in Canvas. So Canvas is great. There's a lot of tools available in it, but it isn't exactly the same as every other LMS, which is good. But it does mean that when you're transitioning from one LMS to Canvas, they want to see those features that Canvas may not have, or they may, or you may change your settings. You may decide to change the settings on Canvas where something's more locked down, and that's one of the things we've had to contend with. So don't get hung up on the tech. Instead, see what Canvas can do, figure out how Canvas can do what you want it to do, and go from there.
Okay, so this is actually a combination of a couple of don'ts phrases that appeared on the discussion in the Canvas community. But I just love this phrase, don't get all texty. And I think it was Kelly Musin who said that, but I'm not sure. At any rate, I really like that because, again, I find a lot of teachers are tempted to just throw up text up on a screen and expect students to read through it. And as a lot of you know, students are going to be reading a lot of this on mobile devices, and just I think it was now I'm trying to remember. I think it was Stephanie who actually referred to this as the scroll of death, which is another great phrase that I want to make sure I use with my faculty. Text is so 20th century, and the capabilities of Canvas to post, graphic images, embed videos, diagrams and statistics in chart form. Why would you use text when you can really draw people in and create interest with all those other elements that are out there? So, exploring pages, again, is something that I'm working on with my faculty, getting them to use that. Yes, it's more work, but the dividends it pays are tremendous.
Don't plan on follow the leader. In this case, a lot of the courses I see designed out there, they use a front page with specific links to specific things. They want the students to follow a certain order. You're going to start here, you're going to go here, you're going to go here, you're going to go here. But Canvas is great at notifying the students that they have something coming up. They have an upcoming assignment, they have an upcoming discussion. And a lot of times the students actually go into those links instead of following what you expect. I believe there's actually a presentation at InstructureCon this year that showed some analytics on some courses, showing that only about half the students actually went to the front page of a course to go through the rest of the course. They would instead follow links to specific parts of the course instead. So when you're building a course, you don't want to be thinking that the students are going to go linearly through your course. They're not going to. They're all going to be different. So instead, when you're doing something like building an assignment, you may want to do references back to what the assignment is building off of. So through your course, they're not going to. They're all going to be different. So instead, when you're doing something like building an assignment, you may want to do references back to what the assignment is building off of. Through your course, they're not going to. They're all going to.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. So instead, when you're building assignments, you're building discussions, you want to make references back to what the assignment or discussion is building off of. So make sure to read chapter 3 before trying to complete this assignment. Make sure to look at this week's readings before you actually start this quiz, that kind of thing. So you're building off of what you did in the past so that the students know where they're going.
So this is a very general don't overwhelm, and obviously it could mean a number of things, but I think a lot of teachers tend to want to kind of throw everything into their website or their Canvas course because they want to kind of cover all the bases. And I think it's a normal temptation. You want to make sure you don't leave anything out. You want something for those kids who are moving ahead very quickly and maybe some extra material for them. But all of that can lead to a lot of confusion, of course. And especially if it's not well organized, it can do more harm than good. So I think, putting in what you absolutely need, and then, adding other stuff maybe as you go, as the need arises, can be a useful technique. One way I've found of trying to keep it simple is I have, for every one of my projects in a PBL course, or every unit in a more traditional course, I'll have a resource page. And on that, I'll throw in, everything, including the kitchen sink. But kids know that's just an extra place to go if you need it. You don't have to go to that resource page. So that's something, one tip I found that worked for me. That's about it.
Thank you, Anthony, and thank you, Joe, for being here this morning and sharing some of the takeaways or tips that resonated with you, with the rest of the community. I wanted to also give special thanks to everyone who contributed to this discussion in the community. Joe, I think it was last month in December, posted this discussion, the original discussion thread that sort of sparked this Canvas Live session. Wanted to get feedback from the community on the don'ts in Canvas. And this discussion thread had over 2,000 views and had 60 different comments back and forth. So I posted the link to the original conversation thread here. And you can certainly follow this link and see all the other tips that were also presented. We'll post the link to the webinar in the event page, and we'll also give a copy of the slide deck for those of you who want to build off of the slide deck and use it with your other teachers. Just wanted to remind you to definitely get involved in Canvas Live in one way, shape, or form. The best thing to do is to follow the Canvas Live page so that you can be notified every time we post new events. We do have a Canvas Live user group, which is basically a place for people to collaborate and work on presentations with each other and find other people to kind of build a presentation before you come and do a session on Canvas Live. And then, of course, we have our chat rooms. So feel free to hang out in our Canvas chat rooms and have live discussions with other Canvas users. And you can find all this information at the Canvas Live page, live.canvaslms.com. I wanted to give thanks once again to our presenters, Anthony and Joe. We appreciate you being here and taking the time to put some of your top tips together. There are a few questions in the chat room. I wanted to address those and give Joe and Anthony an opportunity to address them as well. So you are live still, and we can see you.
Would one of you mind reading the
absolutely.
question?
Annette asks the question, what do you do when your faculty is still so 20th century and refuses to use anything but text? Are there any tips that you might suggest that help ease that faculty into better leveraging some of the features in Canvas? Good question. Thank you, Annette.
Very good question. I don't know. I'm hoping Anthony has a good answer. I don't. I'm still kind of, trying to nudge faculty to even explore the use of pages. Many of them have just been compelled this year by district policy to use Canvas in terms of posting assignments. So they've kind of got that down, and now I'm working to try to, encourage them to explore more features. But it's a slow process. And I guess one thing that just came to mind is, and then I'll turn it over to Anthony, is we have monthly faculty meetings, and at those meetings, I established a Mine in 5 feature that I convinced my principal would be worth the time. And I just do a very quick 2 slides or a live Canvas, on the screen presentation of one thing that a faculty member is using Canvas for that they haven't seen before. or many haven't seen before. And so it kind of just shows off the possibilities. And I found that after that meeting, I usually get 4 or 5 more faculty emailing me and asking for an appointment to show them how to do that. So that's one thing. Anthony, do you have anything?
Well, what we do is we try and build a course that's a perfect demonstration course that shows off a lot of the features to show the faculty what one could look like, so that they can show that their own wall of text course just may not be as engaging as something with a lot more breaks in it, with the visuals in it, with the videos in it, where the students are actually doing something. Maybe it's broken up into multiple pages and there's an activity between it or something like that. And then we also try and show them the student feedback. Sometimes it's not available for our own students, so we show them student feedback for some of those national surveys or some other surveys available out there that show that the students really do appreciate that kind of thing, that it is helping their learning. So, I mean, you can't really, for faculty anyway, you can't really use a stick, so we just use a carrot. We say, this is going to be better for your students if you do it this way. It is more work. That is the one thing that we make sure that they understand. It is more work to design that way, but in the end, it's going to pay off.
Right.
Thank you both for your feedback. I think you made a good point, both of you, about like basically setting the expectations as that ends up happening at least at the beginning when you first start using Canvas, to kind of set that expectation of what is to come, whether it's a lot more work or not. But thank you both for that. I don't think we have any other additional questions. We do have some suggestions still posted in the chat, but this has been great. So we'll go ahead and stop the broadcast. We will conclude this session and hope that we see you again in a future Canvas Live presentation. Thank you both. Thank you everyone for being here, and I hope you have a great day.